Hey, it's Christine with 90, and I'm going to go over the rocks section with you. Rocks is the third icon down over here on the left, and the first thing we'll cover is creating a rock. You would just press the create button, and it defaults to creating a rock because we are on the rocks page, but you can create a rock from any page in the account. All you would have to do is just click on this drop down at the top, and that's how you would switch to other items. So that create button over here in the top right corner is really how you create rocks, to-dos, issues, headlines, and then during a meeting, also cascading messages as well. So the first thing with a rock that you'll see on the left-hand side is who it belongs to. So when you click on that, you're going to get a list of users. And this users list is pulling directly from the team that you have selected. So if you don't see somebody's name that you're expecting right there, click on the Teams dropdown, and maybe you need to switch the team that you are assigning it to so that you can see the person's name. Next up, we have the state of the rock, and this is just the title. So give it a quick title. Choose the due date, and then in the description section, a lot of people use this to make it smart. So the idea here is to make it really specific, define some actionable steps, and go through that smart process, which we do have an article built out on. Next up is if you want to change the status, it'll default to on track, but you can change it to off track or complete right away. You can adjust the team like I mentioned initially, and then you can also add this to other teams if you do have other teams built out in your account. So once you decide the owner, so I'm the owner of this rock and I am on 2 other teams in here, so I do have the option of putting this rock on the 2 other teams as well. And the final option is saying if you want it to be a company rock or if you'd prefer to leave it as an individual rock. And so that's what this toggle will control. You can see the save button's grayed out right now because I don't have a title entered. So if you ever see this grayed out, just be sure to check the team that you have assigned to, the owner, and then the title of the rock. And that's gonna, once we type that in, activate the save button. And so the required fields will just control if that's grayed out or not. Once we do create a rock, we'll see it go on our rocks list, and it got added to this top company rock section because we made it a company rock. If we wanted to change our mind and say this is not a company rock anymore, we can just turn that toggle off, and it'll still be underneath my name here, but it's no longer in that company rock section and doesn't have that icon on it. When you make something company rock, what that means is that it's at the top of the list, obviously here, and then it's also going to automatically show up on your VTO. So when we go to that VTO page, you're going to see all of our company rocks listed on the traction page there. When we toggle to other teams, instead of seeing company rock, we're going to see departmental rocks. And so that's just a name change for us. It's just signifying we're not looking at the leadership team anymore. We're looking at a departmental team, and therefore they have departmental rocks instead of having company rocks. But they do all work the same way with the same toggle here. If we go back to our leadership team, the next thing we'll cover is editing some of the information that we just added in. And so, for example, if you want to see the details for a rock, just click on it to the right, like initially. And then you'll see over here the due date that you selected, which is automatically 90 days out, their company rock toggle, the teams that we set up. All of these can be changed whenever you need to. And then for the title, you can update that. For the description, you can come in and add more details, add links to other systems, anything you need to. And then you also have this milestone section. This is activated on your settings page. So if you don't see milestones in your account quite yet, visit settings and click on configuration. That's going to be visible to anybody that's a manager role or above, so managers, owners, and admins, and they can turn this on. And what that does is it adds this milestone section where you can go in and create milestones. You can delegate them out to other people in your account, set up due dates, and what ends up happening when you do that is you get a list of all of these tasks underneath of your rock. And so you can turn them into to-dos if you like, but automatically they'll turn into a to-do 7 days before they're due if they're not marked as completed yet. So that doesn't happen if it is marked as done, but it's just a great way to continue to see visibility around that specific item if you are trying to get it accomplished. You can, of course, turn off the automatic creation of to-dos from your milestones on the settings page as well. So once you turn it on, you'll see the toggle for you to automatically activate that or not. Since you can assign milestones to other people, if they don't have access to this specific team, the way that they would see their milestone is on their My 90 page. So on My 90, there's a section, you can go view that video here as well, where you have a whole milestone section where you can go in and view those specific items and view the rocks that they're connected to. The attachment section you've got here, this just opens up your file management system within your computer. So feel free to select any file type within here. Videos, forms, Excel, images like I have here. And then you also have a comment section. So this just allows people to come in and make comments, date and time stamped. If you want to use this for any sort of updating capabilities, maybe your rock is going off track and you want to write something about it, it's kind of nice because it gives you a little progression of your rock throughout the quarter. And up here at the very top are icons. This is a check mark, so marking our rock as done or not done, and you can see that is affecting the status that we're giving it. So on track and off track are both technically not done, and if we do change the status to done, we'll see our check mark automatically activates there. We do use the check mark across other features in the system like to-dos and issues, so we wanted to make sure we kept consistency here. The other thing is the More Actions button. Archive will push your item into the archive, which we'll talk about in a moment. You can make things issues or create to-dos, which pulls in all of the details to a rock into this issue field. So you can still make changes to any of these sections that you need to while you're creating your issue. But it does kind of pre-populate with what you've already typed out and have as far as details in that specific rock. And once you save it, it will go onto that team's issues list that you select it for. And the final option within here is just delete. So if you don't need to see this again, if it was created on accident, go ahead and just remove it from the page. The show rock link, this allows you to communicate with people. Maybe you want to send them a direct link to this specific rock. All you would do is copy it, and then you can open that up in a new browser or send it in a text, Slack, email, so that they know exactly what rock you're talking about and can open that up. The More Actions button, so what we covered as far as this option here, if you want a shortcut for that, all you have to do is right-click on here and you have those same make it a to-do, create an issue options. So during a meeting, if you don't need to open anything up and you just want to move it to your issues or archive it, just go ahead and right-click there. As you scroll down, you'll see everybody's names. So you can see what name, who's assigned to, what is assigned to them, and you can see if there's a company rock or not. So they're listed in each place just for simplicity, so you can see everything that that person's responsible for. And if you do want to rearrange the names, you have these icons over here on the right-hand side, the up and down arrows to move those around. You can see Michelle here doesn't have any company rocks, has all individual rocks next to her name. And as long as you're on the team, you can make edits to this information, so you don't have to be the owner in order to make changes within here. Along the top, if you need to change your team, you can do so. If you want to filter and view rocks by a certain status, you can do so here. And then this is your archive. So this is going to be a way for you to see all of your completed rocks from previous quarters. And typically you're going to go through and really archive your rocks once a quarter. So once you get to the end of a quarter, pushing them into this section allows you to save them, have a record of them, go in and view your past content. And if you did need to unarchive it to make changes or do anything with it specifically, you can do that through that More Actions button. But all of this text you'll find not editable. It's just here as a reference. And then if we toggle back to our main list, we'll see our rocks here. And the final icons are really just, a refresh. So maybe somebody added a rock and you want to refresh the page to pull in that new information. You can do so just through that button. The next button is a PDF. So if you wanted to export anything via PDF, you can do that here. And then this is the ability to archive your rocks all at once. So when you click on this, the default option is just archiving the ones that you have marked as completed. So that has the check mark next to it. If you click Archive All Rocks, it'll take all of your rocks off the list, whether they're completed or not. And so that's especially helpful at the end of the quarter if you wanted to just wipe your list clean and start fresh, which is what a lot of EOS companies end up doing. They typically, take any incomplete issues at the end of the quarter, maybe turn them into long-term issues so that they're discussed at the quarterly meeting if they should be returned into a rock for the next quarter, or talked about what happened and why it wasn't completed. And then they'll create a new rock just so that they can have a record that this one was not done on time, and we can see that in the archive section as a record. So if you have any follow-up questions, please let us know. We have our live chat, and then we have videos going through the rest of the system as well. So good luck creating your rocks.